All right, hello, St. Mary's EDMA L637LK cohort friends, and welcome to week 6, or maybe a better word is Happy Valentine's Day. I hope you've had a great day with your family and significant others and those kind of things. I got my first St. Mary's T-shirt a few weeks back, and it happens to match the day's theme colors. So I just wanted to show that off because I've been part of St. Mary's for a long time, and first time I actually went and bought a shirt, so I'm pretty happy about that. The format I'm using today to record is something in Zoom, and it's an advanced share technique using PowerPoint. So I quickly tweaked the slides just a little bit. Gives a cool opportunity for you to see a different way to record. It pops your image into the bottom right corner of your screen, which is a kind of a fun way to look at it and a good way to show to your students. So I want to thank you this week for your work on your websites. I had a great time reviewing through your websites, learning more about you as a teacher, kind of how important it is to really get to your classroom, to your parent groups, to your students. Some of you even have personal information about you and your families and kind of how that is and what interests you. And I think that's very powerful just to show your personality side of this as well. So I appreciate that. I do want to encourage, if possible, I know some of your districts are a little resistant to this, but at least trying to get this attached to your school website. And if it doesn't work, at least have it as a shareable place within your parent groups. And you may want to reduce the size of your link. I like to use the bit.ly website to shorten my web links a bit. And you can just use bit.ly and then create your own title. So you could, for me, I might call it Chapin Home or something like that. And usually that works pretty good. For review this week, you're going to review each other's websites. So you'll see in this set of slides and also in the game plan who you're going to review. So you're only going to review one, and you're going to kind of dig into that one. So I'm looking for 2 strengths, one constructive criticism piece, and one idea to add. Okay, so you're going to be reviewing it that way. You also have access to all of the websites, so I would encourage you to look at them as well so that you really get into the kind of the general idea of what these can look like, what they do look like as we move along. I want to thank Britton and Brooke for their work this week in the weekly technology spotlights. Brooke's work on assessment, I think, is well put out there right now, and the ability to be more efficient in assessment is a key component to this along the way. And I think Kahoot and some of the other sites have allowed us to be more efficient in that way. And Katie's work on math and technology, I think, was really appropriate. I really appreciated, and it brought me back a little bit in time to when I was younger about the concept of speed, or not forcing speed on kids when it comes to success in mathematics, realizing that all kids learn at different ways, and sometimes that pressure becomes very difficult. So Katie also included some really cool links to some kind of clearinghouse places for math resources and things that are already created in a template format, which I think is really powerful. So thank you for that. This week, we're going to be looking at a bunch of things. So the first one is a little bit on parents and family engagement, and what does that look like for you, and kind of where are we at on this? Like, how do we engage our parents in this process? Hopefully your websites are going to help with that, but some other things as well. And then really looking a little bit at, what can we provide to parents? Can we give them app lists? Can we how are our parent-teacher conferences, and where can technology play a good role into this, and how does that work? Okay, we're going to look a little bit more on tech integration in the schools. I know we did this earlier in the term, but one of the things now that we've done a lot of stuff, I'm wondering if things are changed at all, and how do we look at that as a group, and what can we do to really get into this is what's best. And if you were to put this to an administrator or a parent group in a public meeting, what would be your answer in this? And it's a loaded question, and it could go big. But again, it's your kind of call on what that looks like. Okay. We're also going to look at virtual Bitmoji classrooms. Now, this is not an assignment, and I think it's really important you understand this. I'm only doing this for you to take a look at, but um, the work that was done this week, and you can see the work here on the left as Michelle's virtual classroom is really, really powerful, really cool, really simple. I use this in a slight different format. I use it as a passing time in integration. And you can see mine on the right here, but you'll have access to these documents. You take a peek at them, just take a look, see if this could ever apply to your classroom. What I love about this is you can really theme this out. So this can be done in a mindset of lessons, units, themes, or just an overall class kind of setting. And I have a video built in on this slide that will really takes you through it. It's about 17 minutes long, but this gal really does a good job of showing you the simplicity of making a virtual classroom for yourself. I want to make sure you understand some of this stuff gets a little tedious, and it's one of those things that you have to decide if this is in your wheelhouse or not. Again, this is not an assignment for us, but I wanted to introduce it to you so you can see it, because it is something that takes a little creativity, a little extra work on your part. And I just want to make sure you're aware of that up front. But it is something that's pretty cool, pretty creative, fits really well into the primary levels for the imagery that you can see, but also I love it in the high school for unit development. I think, you know, we did this HyperDoc assignment, or you're going to be finishing this HyperDoc assignment. A virtual classroom is essentially, could be a great push point on a HyperDoc or your delivery tool for the materials in a HyperDoc. And it's a neat idea to really theme things out. I see this in like history in Richard's world, where it might be something that you could theme out a certain unit in a virtual classroom and really play some fun kind of, this is creative looks at things as well. So something to ponder, something to think about. No assignment, just to review. Look quickly at Google extensions. I know a lot of you are using Chromebooks, so this might be something you skim over if this doesn't apply to you. One thing about Google extensions through the Google App Store, there's a lot of good ones on writing and mathematics. One of the things that's important to understand with this is that some of these things are blocked in your school system, so you will have to request for an open if you find them and you find something that works for you. But again, if this isn't applied to you, you can skim through this material as well. So then we have, I asked you guys to do some infographic work, and what I did is I took all your infographics and I placed them into one place, so you'll be able to see other people's infographics that they're using. I think infographics are a cool way, not only in a technology sense, but also in person, to be able to see this as a kind of a whole push and just different ways to show what's going on in your classroom. I think we all know, especially primary level students, are very visual in their learning. And so this kind of attaches that visual learning to this process as well. You'll also see, if you scroll down on this document, you'll see some of my former students' work. I think it's important to see other people's stuff and be able to share ideas and things like that. So as well, included in here are the evaluating website piece, but also your classroom infographics as well that you left with us. So I appreciate that, and thank you for your work in that area. I want to just real quick talk a little bit about the HyperDoc, and in the HyperDoc piece, as you go through this, there isn't a rubric, and I think this is important to understand. There's no rubric in this piece. One of the things that you're going to find here is that it's more about a checklist. So a checklist really says, what are the things I can include, but I don't necessarily have to include, okay? So rubric is really focused on what you have to include. Checklist is, what are some things that I could? And one of the things you'll see in the checklist, it'll say if age appropriate. So really understand that don't do this, don't throw stuff in on these if it's not age appropriate. I think that's super important in this process to make sure that we get things that really fit. Also, don't be afraid if you do jump into a Bitmoji classroom idea to put this in front of your students as well in this format as a HyperDoc. So think of the HyperDoc as one of two things. If you are delivering your work through a Google Classroom, Schoology, Seesaw, you can push this out that way. Or the HyperDoc potentially could be something you stand in front of the class and use. So what we're seeing is a little crossover here between the I'm sorry, between delivering this material to the student to do, but also delivering the material in front of the students in a classroom setting as well. So it's something to think about. All right. Um, and then I guess as we kind of wrap things up this week, a couple things I want you to just think about going forward. So this is week 6. Next week, week 7. Week 7 is actually a short week. We'll wrap up by Wednesday. The only work at the end of week 7 is some review work for the hyperdocs with each other, along with just a short course evaluation. And then I guess that, the last thing, you guys work this week on something we call life or work-life balance. One of the things that's really important as we wrap up this class is that you find that, okay? The current state of our country, the current state of education, the current state of just being cold in the winter really brings some really challenging dynamics to just being human and being somebody who can really breathe and through this process. So, I hope you take tomorrow, Monday, President's Day, as a day to relax, to breathe, and then realize that we're very close to the end of this process. So, as you consider that mindset, is what can we do to finish this up in a strong way? You got one class left. We're I actually see the end of the public school year as well in the process. So, and then lastly, again, thank you for your high level work. Appreciate it. Thank you for your efficiency work and getting things done on time. One of the things that I have a colleague that talks a lot about working harder, not smarter. I'm sorry, he changes it. Working smarter, not harder. I think this is a really important aspect right now, is finding the efficiency tools that you need. And if I have given you anything in this process, hopefully it's the ability to be more efficient in your work and be able to really find that place of how do I do that? And I think one of the things that you'll do when you do this is you're really going to find a place where you can be that efficient in the process. So again, I appreciate everything that you're doing for me. And I want you to have a great week. Take care of yourself, take care of the people around you, and let me know how I can support you. We will do office hours again Wednesday night, 7:30 to 9. Again, if you have questions, I really appreciate the conversations I've had during these office hours. And if there's any way I can support you in that process, please let me know. Have a great week, everybody.